this when we say funnel, that's really literally kind of what we're talking about. When we're talking funnel, we're also talking brand awareness, right? So the furthest out, the broadest way is there's I've got to remember his last name. It's Eugene. Oh, it's gonna kill me right now. I'll get it right now. Eugene Schwartz. He wrote a book. It's called Breakthrough Advertising, and he basically broke it down. It's like a funnel inverted, essentially, kind of. So at its furthest out level, right? It's people are they're completely unaware. When they're completely unaware, those are people who may not even know the problem they have that your product solves. So for coaches, if we apply this to real world coaching kind of situation, if I am let's say I'm I don't know, pick a kind of coach, guys.
Say,
transition.
Health and wellness.
That's a little on the nose, but I mean, like, in the sense that it's hard. I mean, health and wellness, a lot of us know with our own health and wellness that the issues we have. I'll give you an example given to me in something that I recently was. So there is now self-cleaning water bottles, right? But prior to the self-cleaning water bottle, nobody was aware that a water bottle had to clean itself, right? We didn't realize there was an issue with water bottles being dirty. So now this brand has the hurdle of communicating to massive amounts of people that there is a need, a necessity for self-cleaning water bottles, right? So that their job, the first hurdle is making everybody aware of the problem they have that they may not even know that they have. And that the way that you do that and you speak to those people is with quizzes, is with copy that hits that emotional hook, right? Where you tap into that thing that's eating at them, that they are aware of. And that's so, if we're a coach, are you feeling stuck? You're not directly saying you need coaching. What you're doing is communicating to their pain at that point. And in oftentimes sort of even bringing to light that pain even exists. And that's why something like a quiz or asking a question or about that or that emotional hook is really critical in that, like, all the way out here area, that highest part of or the furthest away from awareness from your brand. Does that make sense?
That's where you're speaking. Well, what I was kind of speaking about when mentioning making sure you're garnering attention. I would say, again, using like what you mentioned in speaking to, you say it all the time, speaking to the reptilian brain.
Yes.
Where you're getting that emotional punch, and then once you have their attention is when you can start.
That's
information.
It's really critical that on that level, when you're talking to people basically who aren't in your funnel yet, to the general public, when you're on a podcast and it's listeners that have never heard of you and your brand before, when you're doing any number of things where the audience, the people may not know who you are and what you're doing. That's when it's really critical to communicate to the reptilian brain, because when we make decisions, we decide emotionally and then we justify it logically. And it's actually that will takes you through the next levels of brand awareness. So the next level of brand awareness would be they are aware that they have a problem. They're problem aware. So now they know I have a problem, but they don't know what any of the solutions are. So like that's the next level of that. And so in that one, that's when you're going to start to get really empathetic with them and be like, we get it. You've got this going on, and so there's a very cool like science you can sort of apply to writing your copy based on who you're talking to and where they are in your funnel. So if you have like a social media group, right, and you're posting into a group of people that have already agreed to be in your group, you're going to speak to them much differently than you're going to speak to some just blasting an ad post out there, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's probably going to be much, I wouldn't go as far as saying much more personal, but definitely personalized, rather than where they would be getting a message at that first stage we're speaking about.
So I have a question then. If I'm someone who's starting out as a coach and I'm just starting sort of an advertising, marketing, social media campaign, do you think it would be easier to start with your audience should you start with those who are already problem aware because that defines your niche more? Or do you think it would be better to start with those who are completely unaware of the problem? I have my own personal opinion about that.
I think that regardless, you should be okay. Yes, you're right. Amazing point, by the way, Anthony. Whether or not you meant to bring it up, we have skipped 2 steps here. We really have. And the first step being that before you even get to this point, you have to define what your niche is. You have to define who your audience is. You have to build out that ideal client, that avatar, whatever you call it, and know where they are, where to reach them, and how to get to them. But that doesn't mean, though, that those people are necessarily going to be aware that they're aware of the issue, the pain that they have. It exists, right? But what they may not be aware of is that it is solvable, that a coach can help them, that these kind of things. So bringing that to light with them is really, really critical. But you still have to go and figure out where they're at to begin with. And I think it is kind of hubris to assume that everybody in your ideal client market is going to know exactly what a coach is, what they do, and that you can help them. Would you agree with me there? Yes, no, maybe? Thoughts?
I would agree, but that would very much influence, because if we're just starting from the broadest levels of people who aren't aware of their problems and that they exist, and those who are aware of the problem, it's probably going to be very easy. It's going to be a lot easier for most people to write directed towards a specific problem. Because let's take, for example, we're trying to convince people that there is actually a problem.
There's a disconnect here, though, because I think that what you were saying, the furthest out, you're still speaking to the problem. You're still, that's that emotional hook. That's when you're really, really tapping into that problem and the way it makes that person feel. So you're absolutely, that the whole purpose of the first level is to make them aware of the pain that problem is causing them, or the potential for anything that problem. If we go back to the water bottle example, you're going to say, did your bacteria, is there bacteria full of your water bottle or filled in your water bottle? Are you making yourself sick with your water? Things like that. You're tapping into that fear at that point, that like, oh my God, I had no idea.
So yeah, if we use that water bottle as an example, you would maybe frame it as I guess like a headline would read something as, is your water bottle actually killing you?
Yes, exactly.
Now that might be a bit.
Oh, that's great though, because
emphatic, but it grabs your attention.
Exactly, and this is it. It's at that stage that you want to do that punch in the face, that very like kind of shocky, because they don't know, they're off, floating around and looking up at the sky, and then you're like, you have to get their attention somehow and cut through the noise. And the way that you do that is with that really powerful punch in the face kind of moment. So perfect example of that.
So for example's sake, we can step it down to the next level, which is those who are aware that their water bottles may or may not be killing them.
Well, they're aware that they're aware that they want water bottles that are not murdering them. Like they know that much, but they don't know how to get that. They don't know what the solutions are.
They would know that I have to have a water bottle for certain reasons, like you need a water bottle, you need a dedicated water bottle, not like disposable ones, to save the environment.
So on this,
easier. So you have to have the water bottle, but you need to do something about the water bottle killing you.
The kind of copy you want to use in this space is going to be where you're going to give them statistics, facts, stories, things that show to them that you understand what they need, understand their story, and then begin to prove and build that trust that you might be the solutions, or you at least are aware and empathize with their problem. So this is in this next level, empathy is very important. So
headline could be like, tired of your water bottle killing you? Try this instead.
No, I think it would be something more like along the lines of
reasons why this water bottle is changing my life.
Yeah, this your water bottle, 75 or 99% of water bottles contain bacteria. This one though might be different. or is different. How about, or do you want a water bottle that will help you? And then you give them stats in that though. This is where you want to get more of that data-based, statistic-based, because this is where they're starting their research journey, right? This is where they're going to start doing the research to find out more information about how to solve their problem.
Jerome, are you drinking out of a self-cleaning water bottle?
So you want to be the solution, and to be the solution, you want to provide them with information, because once they realize there's a problem, what's the next logical step that you take as a human being? You start to research, right? So that's where it's really critical in this second phase that you start to inform, and you go, okay, well, hey guys, this is the 5 reasons why water bottles kill you. Here's the solution. This is the, and you start to put that so that those things come up in those searches, because they're on the next level and they're looking for answers really at that point. And you're going to want to position yourself to be the answer.
So I think at this point, as we get more specific, it might be good to switch over get rid of the metaphor of the water bottle and switch over
to coaching, probably.
Because marketing and writing for copy for products is a lot different than services and yourself as well, because you're going to be injecting your personality and your voice into your marketing as well, because you are so intertwined with the service that you're providing.
So I think it's beneficial to just use real life examples of either a sample client I've worked with, or we can just do sample client. So if I have a coach that is, let's say they are a coach that is in there. Well, I've got somebody we'll work with now, and I'm not going to say who it is, but it's a time-focused coach about time management, about getting your time in order. Okay, so on the first level, she's going to say something like, I'm not going to give her verbatim, but you're going to say, are you in charge of your time? Feel like you have no time. How many minutes of your life have you lost? Right? Like that's your shock and awe kind of thing. Are you wasting precious time? Now, then the second level will be, for this coach, will be 5 proven ways that time is wasted day to day, by business, if it's business focused at your business, in your profession, how you're losing time at work. 15 statistics that show you what you can do better, something along those lines. I'm just pulling out of thin air here. One of the things that we've talked about even doing with this client is building out a calculator that says where people can value their time. They can value their time. They can input time so that they see what is being wasted. And so think about how much information this gives a person on that next level. And then they can see how much money they're losing by wasting time. And that would be a fantastic tool to give on this next level of awareness.
So this is taking people who aren't aware that there's a problem, and then making them aware that there is a problem, and then teasing that there are solutions to this.
It's giving them, that stage you want to give, because you want to be generous in your copy. You want to be generous in your information, and you're giving at this stage. So you are giving them lots of information. Because by doing so, you are establishing trust, you're building yourself as an expert, and you are creating an area, a space with somebody that they can learn and they can learn from. And that will make them, as a coach, look up to you, will make them value what you have to say, your skill, your ability, your experience. All of this comes into play very much so in the second level of awareness, for sure.
So let's move to the next sort of
level of awareness.
So you're aware of solutions that are out there. So let's say I'm someone who knows
solution
I'm wasting my time. There's a lot of solutions that are out there to help me save time. There's time management apps that you can download.
So before stepping back though, let's talk about the third level before we get there. So we've gone from completely unaware to now problem aware to now solution aware. So now your client is, they know they have a problem. They know there are solutions. So what you want to do in this space, in the solution, is you want to start to introduce your unique selling point. What makes you different and stand out from all the competition at this point? because we were taking them down. You see, it makes logical sense here, right? Because what's the thing? If we think about the thought process of how somebody's searching, they begin unaware. They find out they have a problem. They start to research how to fix the problem. Now, how do I find the best solution for me? And that's why that unique selling point comes in. That's why that ideal client is so critical here as well, because you are going to want to be speaking to them personally at this point. This is the point where you are talking to them about their problem and why you are the perfect solution. And knowing them inside and out is critical. Does that make sense? So, Anthony, do you have examples you'd like to give, possibly, potentially, of writing?
Well, I was going to say there's the numerous solutions that are out there for people who, for example, need to save time. You're convincing people and persuading them that your solution, which would be coaching, is the right one for them.
I hesitate to even say persuade, but even though yes, we are absolutely. You are persuading, you are marketing. I feel like there's a weight there of manipulation.
We can take a little peek behind the marketing. We're on the other side of it, so it is.
What you're doing is you're basically putting yourself out there and saying, "Hey guys, this is me. This is what makes me different. This is why." And this is also, you don't have to be everybody's flavor of ice cream. Like not everybody is going to love mint chip. Not everybody's going to, but that doesn't mean that mint chip doesn't have its audience. So don't be afraid at this point, especially to be speaking directly to who your market is and tailoring your copy and everything to that market and being unafraid of alienating people that are not in your realm at this point, because there's no reason to speak to them. You're not a right fit. So, and also you want to get really personal with people at this point. Like really, this is when you want to talk to their issues, when you want to speak to benefits, speak to the benefits. That's a big part of this right now. This is something we talk about in class all the time, is being able to give benefits, being able to give, this point, they know their pain. So now we're connecting the pain to the motivator, to the action. So I'm the solution. Does that make sense? Yeah. Also, this is a great level to bring in testimonials as well. Really, really great, because now you can prove to them this is also why I'm the best choice, and that's why that testimonial is really critical to apply this to your website and everything as well. Know that that's probably not the first place people are going to find you. So you're on your website, you want to be speaking to them likely on this third level more so. Yeah.
This is a point where you could show your process as well, sort of like what distinguishes you from other coaches as well.
That's the unique selling point. Absolutely.
So what tools, what special things do you include, or that's part of this whole coaching process that is better than other coaches who may do similar things?
I would beg to differ, and I think that might fall more so in the next stage of awareness, which is product awareness, which is where you're going to be specifically explaining the details of your product, whichever service you're providing or your product, for an example.
But I think before we get to there, because that's a place I think that coaches are really kind of good at mastering and writing about, because it's really the level 2 is when you're on that second level of awareness. It's about us a little bit at that point, and we are all really, really, really good at writing about ourselves. That's one thing we know, so we feel very comfortable doing that. So before we leave the realm of the client, but even still, it should always be about the client. I just really want to. Is there any other ways you can think of for a coach, through copy, through anything really, to separate themselves from the competition on that third level, to get people to get to their website? To any thoughts about that, guys?
Again, I think just being really personal. It might sound like you are, again, alienating some of your potential customers, but what it really is doing is giving the customers that are actually going to come to you, it's giving them something to cling on to that they've been looking for, so they can go further down that or further up that ladder of awareness, so that they can get closer to actually becoming a client of yours or a customer, depending on which situation we're speaking about.
You can also listen to for listening at this point to your followers, to your interactors.
That's huge.
You'll hear them say a lot of people when they call over I'm comparing people. Right now I'm going through, I've looked at a lot of coaches. That is a giant red flag, or not red flag, let's say, like, I don't know,
Green flag.
signal, green flag, that they are in an evaluation stage, but that they also trust you on some level, that they also have started to form some kind of connection with you, because they would not be reaching out to you. This is them saying, I've narrowed it down and you're one of the finalists. Yep. So that's why it's so critical at that point to really go, okay, well, I'm one of the finalists here. If I'm on the phone, like for CLCI at this stage, I would say, well, we have won multiple awards. We've been in business for 12 years. We've certified over 10,000 coaches. And I would start to list those accolades, those awards, those things that separate us and make us a worthy candidate, essentially. And so that's really critical. Again, completely different copy, though, completely different approach than out here, all the way on the outside with the shock, you have a problem, to let me inform you, help you, guide you, be your expert, to now this third level of, this is why I'm awesome. And what sets me apart, and this is my proven track record, and that's level 3. So now we can move into level 4, shall we? Which is, like, as you said, the product aware. This at this point, they have kind of, they're picking you, right? Pretty much, like, this is very, I mean, they're pretty much there, but you're really going to sell them with the process at this point. This is when you want to be like,
this is a salesy
you can be salesy at this point. This is where you can be salesy, because they trust you now. They have embraced you on some level, and they are saying, okay, sell to me, because I really want, again, we go back to what we talked about before. We decide with our emotional brain. At this point, they've decided, they have decided what they're looking for is, for the logical brain, is seeking justification, essentially. So you have to give them that justification, and you have to justify it with the process, justify it with, well, if it was CLCI again, I would say, if it's 3 days, if you want to be certified in 3 days, there's some people that want 6 months. Our clientele wants 3 days. That's very specific, but it serves a specific group of people, and it's not something we're ashamed of. It's something we're proud of. So that's where you start to bring in the process as a coach in this 4th level.
You hear about being sure to advertise what makes you unique, what makes you different than your competition. This is going to be exactly where you're going to want to go ahead and stress that and drive that home.
Now, a point I want to bring up about this group too is they're sold on you right now. Right now, what they're doing is trying to decide what product to buy. So it's here that having that process, knowing what your program is, knowing what your pricing is, knowing, like, these kind of things will come in handy with getting them into, at this point, you want to help them decide what to purchase. And you want to sort of hold their hand through that and know what you can offer them. And so, what are examples of things you could, as a coach, be giving to your clients in this space, in this realm, when they, or even actually, before we do that, what are indications do you guys think that a client is here and wants to know what to buy?
They're picking up the phone and calling you.
Yes.
That is one that you don't want to let go, because a lot of people right now, they're, totally fine with being impersonal. They're just want to send off the email or the text message or fill out a form. But if they're actually going out of their way to call you to get more information, like, they're pretty much already there at that point. And it becomes less about copy and more about, your speaking and interpersonal skills.
Well, and it's still about copy, though, because a lot of it can still happen via email with regular emails. And it's about, this is where you want to throw out offerings, right? This is where you want to start to throw out that, like, hey guys, you want to incentivize, essentially. You want to be like, there's a scarcity. I have a program starting. There's only going to be, there's only 10 spots in it.
For us, it would be, putting out on social media, hey, we have only X amount of seats left for this offering right here. And those are people who are already aware of the solution, and they're already aware of the services, but there's this time limited offering, and you'll use certain techniques to write that in maybe a Facebook post or something
And you
similar.
want to get the information to them, which is email lists will be handy in this, because most of the time these people will be a little further in your funnel. For a coach, this is where your group coaching clientele are going to come in. This is where your evergreen kind of stuff is going to come in, your webinar land. This is going to be not your highest ticket sales item at this point when they're in this level. This is where you're selling them. They're getting used to handing you money, kind of. So you're going to get them in with the group coaching, which is why having that limited amount of space. I've got a 10-person group coaching program. It starts this date. Get in now, and the price is lower, so it's more palpable. So you're not scaring them off because they have not fully reached into their pocket and they're not fully sold yet. They're not at 5. When they're at 5, then you can ask that high ticket item once they've gotten to 5. So let's talk about 5 really quick. So 5 is, I have bought something. I've handed you money, most likely. I'm a huge fan. I've had a great experience. Give me more to buy. that's our aware, very, very aware client at that point.
Yep. These are,
yeah, go ahead.
For us, an example would be our alumni. We're working on it. Level 3, that would be where we're pitching the idea.
Or even level 2. Once they finish level 1, they're in their level 5. For a coach, you could have, at this point, let's say you sold 1 session. Okay, and you've done your welcome, your discovery session or whatever, but you have not sold the program, but they had a great experience after that 1 session or that discovery call. This is then they're wanting more. They're in level 5. The give them 5. That's when you give them the one-on-one coaching. That this is my program. This is my one-on-one. Will you do 6 months with me? Retain me? Whatever you want to do. That is that commitment, that longer-term commitment. That's going to be a higher cost. Because at this point, they trust you, they know you're valuable, they know what you do, they want what you do. And so it should be a much easier sale than just asking Joe Schmo off the street to give you, $5,000 to work with you for 3 months or something, if that makes sense. It's not going to happen. It's the person that already knows you, has had a decent amount of experience and built some trust with you, that is going to give you that higher cost, that higher ticket, that higher value coaching client action. Sorry, I got very excited. I feel like I've been talking a lot. So
eventually, this last level also happens, I would say, fairly slowly, because you're building your brand and you're building your trust as well.
It's
so like an example I was thinking of as we were talking about this is Tony Robbins.
Uh-huh.
Tony Robbins is at that last level just by virtue of him being one of the most famous coaches, I would say.
Yes,
and it's similar to but I would say it's similar to how people are already aware of Google or Microsoft or Apple.
So Apple,
it's just part of the culture now. And if you're even a little bit into the life coaching sphere of influence, you'll probably heard of Tony Robbins. And he's almost like a brand at this point.
Oh, he is a brand. He absolutely is. He's a huge brand, and he's smart. But what I don't want to do is discredit the fact that there is still a great deal of marketing that man goes through. His marketing, it is impressive. And the way he structured it is very, very impressive. And it has in many ways served to create his brand. So he doesn't just walk out on the street, but he does. I'm Tony Robbins and get clients. But the ones that are going to pay him the $20,000, the $50,000, whatever it is, they have a lot of previous experience with his brand in some regard, and there has been a lot of process they have been through with his team before they get to that point. That's what
I was saying. That's why it takes time to get to that.